Twin sisters, homeless and begging, were trying to push an old shopping cart in search of food. When the woman knelt down near them, she saw a yellowed photograph that made her burst into tears. The late afternoon sun cast long shadows on the busy street as Sarah walked slowly, her heavy bag bumping against her hip. Her eyes, framed by worry lines, wandered distractedly over the bright storefronts and the constant flow of hurried pedestrians. Suddenly, an unusual movement caught her attention. Amid the bustling crowd, two small figures stood out, moving at a different pace. Sarah stopped, blinking twice to ensure her eyes weren't deceiving her. Two little girls, identical as drops of water, could not have been more than 5 years old. Their messy brown hair framed dirty faces, and their clothes, worn and much too large, hung loosely from their small bodies. With surprising determination for children so young, they pushed a rusty shopping cart, its wheels squeaking in protest at every turn. Sarah's heart tightened. She watched the twins rummage through a nearby trash bin, their large, hungry eyes examining each discarded item with an intensity no child should ever know. Without thinking, Sarah approached. Her hesitant footsteps echoed on the pavement, alerting the girls to her presence. Like frightened animals, they spun around quickly, clinging to each other with small, grimy hands. "It's okay," Sarah murmured, her voice trembling. She knelt down slowly, ignoring the protest of her aging joints. Her eyes met the girls', seeing fear, distrust, and a wisdom far beyond their years. The rusty cart stood between them, a symbolic barrier. Sarah noticed the few belongings inside it: a tattered blanket, some clothes folded carefully, and a worn-out stuffed animal, loved through time. That's when she saw it. Hidden among the few belongings, a photograph. The paper was yellowed and creased at the edges, but the image was unmistakable. Sarah reached out with a trembling hand, her fingertips brushing gently over its worn surface. The world around her disappeared. The street's noise faded to a distant hum. All Sarah could see was the smiling face in the photograph. Emily, her Emily, years younger, her eyes shining with a joy Sarah hadn't seen in so long. A sob escaped her lips, hot tears rolling down her wrinkled cheeks. The twins watched in silence, their wide eyes filled with confusion and concern. Sarah looked up, seeing the girls through a haze of tears. Now that she knew what to look for, she could see it. Emily's same eyes, the same stubborn chin, the same freckles scattered across small noses. Her granddaughters. Emily's daughters, here, right in front of her, alone and hungry. Sarah tried to speak, but the words got stuck in her throat. 1,000 questions ran through her mind. Where was Emily? What happened? How had these precious children ended up on the streets? The twins fidgeted uneasily, casting nervous glances at each other and at the street around them. Sarah realized she needed to act, to say something, to do something. But shock paralyzed her, leaving her kneeling on the cold concrete, holding a photograph from the past, while the present stared at her with hungry, distrustful eyes. The distant sound of a siren broke the moment. The girls startled, their small bodies tense like violin strings. Sarah saw the fear in their eyes, the instinct to run about to take over. With supreme effort, she found her voice. "Wait," she whispered, extending a wrinkled hand. "Please." The twins hesitated, torn between fear of the unknown and a spark of hope they themselves did not fully understand. Sarah felt the weight of the moment, knowing that her next words could change the course of all their lives. The world continued to spin around them, indifferent to the drama unfolding on the sidewalk. But for Sarah and the twins, time stopped, suspended in a moment of infinite possibilities. Sarah felt the weight of the years crash down on her shoulders as she looked at the twins. The world around them continued in motion, but there, in that small patch of sidewalk, time seemed frozen. "You must be hungry," Sarah said softly, trying to keep her voice steady. The girls exchanged quick glances, a silent communication passing between them. A memory of another girl with a wary gaze invaded Sarah's mind. 10 years ago, in a sunny kitchen, Emily, then 25, faced her mother with blazing eyes. "You don't understand, Mom. He loves me," Emily shouted, her hands trembling. Sarah shook her head, frustration and fear mixing in her voice. Love doesn't leave bruises, Emily. Love doesn't make you afraid of your own shadow. You don't know him like I do, Emily retorted, tears shining in her eyes. He's going to change. He promised. Sarah took a step forward, reaching out to touch her daughter's face. Emily recoiled as if burned. Please, dear, Sarah pleaded. Stay. We can figure this out together. Emily hesitated for a moment, a shadow of doubt crossing her face. Then her chin lifted in determination. No, Mom. This time, you can't fix things for me. I need to do this on my own. With those words, Emily grabbed her suitcase and walked out the door, leaving Sarah alone with the echo of her unanswered pleas. A sudden movement brought Sarah back to the present. One of the twins, the one on the right, had taken a small step forward, curiosity momentarily outweighing fear. Do you have names? Sarah asked gently, feeling her heart speed up. The girl who had moved spoke, her voice barely a whisper. I'm Lily. She's Emma. Sarah felt tears threaten to fall again. Lily and Emma, her granddaughters. Their names echoed in her mind, filling a void she hadn't known was there. So it's a pleasure to meet you, Lily and Emma, Sarah replied, offering a trembling smile. I'm Sarah. Emma, still clutching the cart, frowned. Why are you crying? Sarah quickly wiped her eyes. Sometimes people cry when they're happy, she explained, knowing it was only half the truth. Lily tilted her head, confused. But you look sad. Sometimes we can feel many things at once, Sarah answered softly. She hesitated before asking, Are you looking for food? The girls exchanged another quick glance before Lily nodded shyly. We have a place, Emma spoke suddenly, her voice defensive. Sometimes we stay at the shelter. We don't need help. Sarah felt her heart ache. So young and already so determined to take care of themselves, just like Emily. Is the shelter good? Sarah asked carefully, trying not to sound too anxious. Lily shrugged. It's warm, but we can't stay there all the time. Sarah took a deep breath, knowing she needed to act carefully. These girls had obviously learned to distrust strangers, no matter how well-intentioned. I know a place where we can get something to eat, Sarah offered. A cafe nearby. They make delicious sandwiches. The twins looked at each other again, a silent conversation passing between them. Sarah waited, her heart pounding against her ribs. Finally, Lily spoke. Can we bring the cart? Sarah nodded quickly. Of course you can. Slowly, like wild animals approaching food, the girls took a step toward Sarah. She resisted the urge to hug them, knowing she needed to earn their trust gradually. As they walked along the busy sidewalk, Sarah beside the squeaking cart, she couldn't help but notice the curious looks from passers-by. Two ragged girls pushing a shopping cart, accompanied by a well-dressed older woman. What a sight they must have been. At the cafe, Sarah watched with a broken heart as Lily and Emma devoured their sandwiches. As if afraid the food might vanish at any moment, she ordered more, along with milkshakes, ignoring the girls' timid protests. Between bites, Sarah gently tried to extract more information. Have you been on your own for a long time? Emma swallowed a big bite of sandwich before answering. I don't know. A long time. And your mom? Sarah asked, trying to keep her voice casual. Is she around? The girls fell silent for a moment. It was Lily who finally spoke, her voice barely audible. Mom said she had to leave for a while, to keep us safe. Sarah felt as if she'd been punched in the stomach. Safe. From what was Emily protecting her daughters? The image of Emily, young and frightened, flashed in her mind again. The marks on her daughter's arm, the muttered excuses about being clumsy. The fear in her eyes when the phone rang. Sarah swallowed hard, forcing herself to remain composed. There was so much she didn't know, so many unanswered questions, but looking at Lily and Emma, their dirty faces now smeared with ketchup and shy smiles, she knew one thing for sure: she couldn't leave them alone again. Girls, Sarah began carefully. What if I could offer you a place to stay, just for a while? The silence that followed seemed to last an eternity. Sarah could see the struggle in the twins' eyes, the desire for safety and comfort battling years of learned distrust. Finally, Lily spoke, her voice trembling slightly. Can we bring the cart? Sarah felt a smile spread across her face, tears of relief and hope shining in her eyes. "Of course you can, dear, of course you can." As the girls finished their milkshakes, Sarah looked out the cafe window at the busy street beyond. Somewhere out there, Emily was lost, scared, possibly in danger. Sarah made a silent promise, both to her absent daughter and to the two precious girls sitting before her. She would find her, she would protect them, and somehow she would fix what was broken. The road ahead would be difficult, full of uncertainties and challenges. But looking at Lily and Emma, Sarah felt a determination she hadn't experienced in years. This was her chance to make things right, to be the anchor her family so desperately needed. With a nod to herself, Sarah braced for what lay ahead. The journey was only just beginning. Sarah's apartment, once a quiet refuge, now hummed with a new and uncertain energy. Lily and Emma, still clinging to their precious cart, looked around with a mix of fascination and apprehension. Sarah watched them, her heart divided between the joy of having them there and the pain of Emily's absence. "Let's fix something to eat, shall we?" Sarah suggested gently, guiding the girls into the kitchen. As she rummaged through the pots, the twins stayed close, their eyes following her every move. "Do you like mac and cheese?" Sarah asked, trying to break the silence. Lily nodded timidly. "Mom used to make it sometimes," she murmured. Sarah felt a pang in her chest. "Really, is she a good cook?" Emma shrugged. "Sometimes she burned it, but she always laughed afterward." The image of Emily laughing over a burnt mac and cheese made Sarah smile sadly. There was so much she didn't know about her daughter's life in recent years. While they ate, Sarah tried delicately to get more information. "Girls, do you remember the last time you saw your mum?" The twins exchanged glances, a silent conversation passing between them. Emma finally spoke. "It was at night. Mom was crying." Lily added, "She said she had to go, but she would come back. She promised." Sarah swallowed hard, fighting tears. "And the shelter you mentioned. Could we go there tomorrow?" The girls agreed, though their eyes showed a hesitation that broke Sarah's heart. The next morning, after a restless night on the sofa, Sarah insisted the twins take the bed. They set off for the shelter. The old shopping cart squeaked along the way, now carrying not only the girls' belongings but also Sarah's hopes. The shelter was a worn-down building, with foggy windows and a faded sign. Sarah shuddered at the thought of Emily and her daughters seeking refuge there. A middle-aged woman with kind eyes and graying hair greeted them at the entrance. "May I help you?" Sarah took a deep breath. "I'm looking for my daughter, Emily. These are her daughters, Lily and Emma. They stayed here a few times." The woman, who introduced herself as Gloria, looked at the twins with recognition. "Oh yes, the little twins. It's been a while since I've seen them." "And Emily?" Sarah asked, her heart racing. "Have you seen her recently?" Gloria frowned, thoughtful. "Emily, young, brown hair. Yes, she stayed here a few times, but not in recent months." Sarah felt her stomach drop. "Do you have any idea where she might be?" Gloria shook her head sadly. "I'm sorry. Many people come through here, and not everyone leaves a trail." Thanking Gloria, Sarah left the shelter feeling more lost than ever. The twins, sensing her discouragement, held her hands in a surprisingly comforting gesture. Determined not to give up, Sarah decided to broaden her search. In the streets around the shelter, she approached shopkeepers, people experiencing homelessness, anyone who might have seen Emily. A young woman with two small daughters, a newspaper vendor, pondered. "I think I saw her a few times. She always looked nervous, glancing over her shoulder." A store owner recalled, "She bought food here sometimes, always counting pennies, poor thing." Each fragment of information was like a piece of a painful puzzle. Sarah could feel Emily's presence in these places, could almost hear her voice, yet still so out of reach. As the day wore on, the twins grew tired. Sarah took them to a small park, watching them swing while she tried to organize her thoughts. "Grandma!" Lily's voice pulled her out of her reverie. It was the first time one of the girls called her that, and Sarah's heart melted. "Yes, dear. Will Mom be mad that we're with you?" The question caught Sarah by surprise. "Why do you think that, Lily?" Emma, who had come closer, answered, "She always said not to talk to strangers, that it was dangerous." Sarah felt a wave of sadness and understanding. Emily was trying to protect her daughters, but from what? Or from whom? "No, dears," Sarah replied softly. "Your mom won't be mad. She'll be happy to know you're safe." The girls seemed to accept this. Returning to the swings, Sarah watched them, noticing for the first time how much they resembled Emily when she was a child. The same shy smile, the same sparkle in their eyes. That night, after putting the twins to bed, Sarah picked up the phone with trembling hands. She knew she needed help, but the idea of involving the authorities scared her. What if Emily was in trouble? Would it only make things worse? Finally, summoning courage, she dialed the police station. "City Police Department, how can I help you?" A monotone voice answered. Sarah took a deep breath. "I'd like to report a missing person." "My daughter, Emily." What followed was a frustrating series of questions. When was the last time she saw her? Does she have a history of disappearing? Any suspicion of criminal activity? Sarah answered as best she could, but each question highlighted how little she knew about Emily's life in recent years. "Ma'am," the officer finally said, "I understand your concern, but without evidence of a crime or immediate danger, there's not much we can do officially. Your daughter is an adult and has the right to—" "She has 2 small daughters," Sarah interrupted, her voice trembling with frustration. "She would never abandon them without a good reason." "Something is wrong, I know it." The officer sighed, his voice softening slightly. "I'll file the report, Ma'am. We'll keep an eye out. But for now, I suggest continuing your personal search. Sometimes, family and friends have more success in these cases." Sarah hung up, feeling defeated. She looked at Emily's photograph now on her bedside table, the same photo she found in the twins' cart. Her daughter's smiling eyes seemed to stare at her, full of hidden secrets. "Where are you, Emily?" Sarah whispered to the photo. "What happened to you?" At that moment, a soft sound caught her attention. Lily was standing at the door, her large, frightened eyes watching. "Grandma," she called quietly, "I had a nightmare." Sarah opened her arms, and Lily ran into her embrace. Holding her granddaughter close, Sarah made a silent promise. She would find Emily, she would discover the truth, and above all, she would keep these precious girls safe, no matter what. The road ahead would be hard, full of dead ends and false leads. But Sarah was determined, for Emily, for Lily and Emma, for her family. With Lily asleep in her arms, Sarah looked out the window at the dark city outside. Somewhere, among the lights and shadows, Emily waited to be found. And Sarah would not rest until she brought her home. The sun had barely risen when Sarah woke, her body sore from a restless sleep on the sofa. She found Lily and Emma already awake, whispering to each other in the bedroom. Seeing her, they fell silent, their looks a mixture of expectation and apprehension. "Good morning, dears," Sarah smiled, trying to hide her own anxiety. "So ready for another day of adventure?" The twins nodded timidly, and Sarah felt a pang in her heart. They shouldn't be on an adventure. They should be at home, safe, with their mother. After a quick breakfast, they set out. The old shopping cart, now a familiar presence, squeaked along the way. Sarah planned to visit more shelters and community centers, hoping to find someone who had seen Emily. At the first shelter, a gray-haired volunteer examined Emily's photo carefully. "I think I saw her here a few weeks ago. She seemed scared. Asked about shelters for women escaping domestic violence." Sarah felt her stomach churn. Violence. The image of a vulnerable man frightened Emily flashed through her mind. At the next community center, a counselor frowned at the photo. She came here a few times for counseling, never went into detail, but mentioned trouble with an ex-partner. Each new piece of information was like a part of a dark puzzle Sarah feared putting together. As they walked between places, she noticed the twins were quieter than usual. "Is everything okay, girls?" Sarah asked softly. Emma bit her lip before speaking. "Grandma, will you find the bad man?" Sarah stopped abruptly. "What bad man, dear?" The twins exchanged nervous glances. Lily answered in a near whisper. The man who made Mom cry. He yelled a lot. A chill ran down Sarah's spine. You saw him many times? Emma shook her head. No. But we heard him. Mom always told us to stay quiet when he came. Sarah knelt down, hugging the girls tightly. Her mind swirled with the implications of what she'd just heard. Emily was in an abusive relationship. Was that why she'd fled? As they walked to the next location, a sudden memory hit Sarah. It was a Sunday afternoon about 3 years ago. Emily had shown up unexpectedly, looking pale and nervous. Sarah noticed a bruise hidden by her blouse's sleeve. Emily, what happened? Sarah asked, alarmed. Nothing, Mom. I just banged my arm on the door, Emily muttered, pulling the sleeve down. Before Sarah could insist, Emily's phone rang. Seeing the caller's name, her daughter's face turned even paler. I have to go, Emily stammered, grabbing her purse hurriedly. Emily, wait, Sarah called, but her daughter was already out the door. Casting one last frightened glance over her shoulder, Sarah returned to the present, feeling nauseated. How had she not realized? Why hadn't she pushed harder, asked more questions? Her thoughts were interrupted as they arrived at the last shelter of the day. While Sarah spoke to staff, a familiar voice caught her attention. Sarah Coleman. She turned and saw a middle-aged man approaching. It took a moment to recognize him. Michael? Michael Davis? Michael had been Emily's friend in college. Sarah hadn't seen him in years. What are you doing here? Michael asked, his eyes widening at the sight of the twins. Sarah quickly explained the situation. Michael's face grew serious. Emily, he murmured. I saw her a few weeks ago. She looked different, scared. Do you know where she is? Sarah asked anxiously. Michael hesitated. Not exactly, but she mentioned something about starting over. Talked about a safe place in a small town. Sarah felt hope and frustration, a clue, but still so vague. Michael, please, she pleaded. If you know anything else. He seemed to struggle internally before speaking. Look, Sarah, Emily made me promise not to tell anyone. She was very afraid. Mentioned a man, someone dangerous. Sarah's heart tightened. Her suspicions were being confirmed. But the girls, Sarah insisted. She can't just abandon them. Michael looked at the twins sadly. I think she believed she was protecting them. Sarah, whatever's going on, it's serious. After Michael left, promising to contact Sarah if he learned more, Sarah sat on a nearby bench, the twins beside her. Her mind spun with all the new information. Emily was running from someone dangerous, someone who had hurt her. And in her flight, she had left her daughters behind, probably believing it was the only way to keep them safe. Sarah looked at Lily and Emma, who were now distractedly playing with their worn-out teddy bear. They deserved more than this. They deserved safety, stability, their mother's love. In that moment, Sarah made a decision. She would not only find Emily, but also confront whoever was threatening her family. No matter how frightening or dangerous it was, she would protect her daughter and her granddaughters. Grandma? Lily's voice pulled her back. Are we going to find Mom? Sarah hugged the girls, feeling a fierce determination rise within her. Yes, dear. We're going to find your mother and bring her home. As they walked back to the apartment, the sun setting on the horizon, Sarah couldn't help but look over her shoulder, wondering if the bad man frightening Emily might be watching. She squeezed the twins' hands more tightly. The search was far from over. In fact, Sarah suspected the real difficulties were only beginning. But with Lily and Emma by her side, and Emily's memory pushing her forward, she knew she wouldn't give up. Somewhere out there, Emily was waiting, and Sarah would bring her home, no matter the cost. The social worker's office was small but welcoming. Sarah shifted in her chair, watching Jessica leaf through a file filled with notes. The twins, Lily and Emma, were in the next room, cared for by a kind receptionist. Ms. Coleman, Jessica began, her compassionate eyes meeting Sarah's. I understand this is a delicate situation. Can you tell me more about what you've discovered so far? Sarah took a deep breath, feeling the weight of each word. My daughter, Emily, she disappeared. She left the girls in a shelter. At first, I didn't understand, but now... She hesitated, the words stuck in her throat. Jessica nodded encouragingly. Please, continue. I think Emily was in an abusive relationship, Sarah finally admitted, the reality of those words crashing down on her. The social worker made some notes before looking at Sarah again. What leads you to believe that? Sarah recounted the clues she had gathered. The twins' comments about the bad man, the shelter staff's hints, Michael's cryptic statements. With each detail shared, she felt like she was unearthing a dark secret long buried. Jessica listened attentively, occasionally asking clarifying questions. When Sarah finished, the social worker leaned forward, her face serious. Ms. Coleman, based on what you've told me, there's strong evidence Emily was indeed a victim of domestic violence. Unfortunately, it's common for victims to hide the situation, even from those closest to them. Sarah felt tears burning her eyes. How did I not see it? She's my daughter. I should have seen the signs. Jessica reached out, gently touching Sarah's arm. Don't blame yourself. Abusers are often very skilled at keeping up appearances. The important thing now is to focus on finding Emily and ensuring her and the children's safety. They discussed the next steps, intensifying the search, possibly involving the authorities more actively, and ensuring psychological support for the twins. The children may have witnessed or heard things they haven't fully processed, Jessica explained. Nightmares are common in these situations. It will be important to watch them closely. When Sarah returned home with the girls that night, Jessica's words echoed in her mind. As if to confirm the fears, Lily woke up screaming in the middle of the night. No, don't hurt Mommy! Sarah rushed to the bedroom, finding Lily trembling and Emma holding her protectively. Sarah's heart broke at the terror in their eyes. It's all right, dears, she whispered, hugging them. It was just a bad dream. You're safe now. But as she comforted them, Sarah couldn't help wondering how much they had really seen. What had Emily faced while trying to protect her daughters? The next morning, while making breakfast, Sarah noticed Emma drawing something at the kitchen table. What are you drawing, dear? She asked softly. Emma hesitated before showing her the drawing, a dark figure, tall and menacing, looming over a smaller woman who seemed to be crying. It's the bad man, Emma whispered. He always made Mommy cry. Sarah felt her stomach twist. She knelt beside Emma, struggling to keep her voice calm. Do you remember anything else about him? Emma frowned, concentrating. He had a loud voice, and a funny smell, like the drink adults have. Alcohol. The man drank. Every new detail felt like a knife in Sarah's heart. How could she have been so blind? Flashbacks flooded her mind. Emily wearing long sleeves in the middle of summer, laughing nervously when questioned. A Christmas 2 years ago, when Emily showed up with a cut on her lip, claiming she bumped into a cabinet door. The phone calls that became rarer, the visits always short and tense. Sarah staggered to a chair, feeling dizzy from the avalanche of memories. All the signs had been there, screaming for attention, and she'd ignored them. She'd convinced herself everything was fine, that Emily just needed space. I failed her, Sarah murmured to herself, tears rolling down her cheeks. Lily approached, placing a small hand on Sarah's face. Don't cry, Grandma. We're going to find Mommy, right? Sarah hugged the girls tightly, feeling a renewed determination emerge through the guilt and fear. Yes, she had failed in the past, but now she would do everything in her power to make it right. In the days that followed, Sarah intensified her search. She hung flyers with Emily's photo on every post, tree, and bulletin board she found. She visited hospitals, asking if anyone matching Emily's description had been admitted. She spoke with police officers, begging for more action. Every dead end, every sympathetic look but no information, left her more desperate. At night, after the girls slept, Sarah scoured social media, looking for any clue about Emily's whereabouts or the identity of the bad man. It was during one of these late-night searches that Sarah found something, an old photo on Emily's abandoned profile. Emily smiling beside a man. His arm was possessively around her shoulders, and though Emily smiled, her eyes seemed empty. Sarah zoomed in on the image, studying the man's face. He was handsome in a rough way, with intense eyes and a smile that didn't quite reach them. Was this him? The man who terrorized her daughter and granddaughters? With trembling hands, Sarah saved the image. Tomorrow, she would show it to Jessica and the authorities. It was a tenuous lead, but it was something. As she closed the laptop, Sarah heard a sound from the girls' room. Approaching silently, she heard them whispering. "Do you think the bad man will find us here?" Lily asked, her voice trembling. "No," Emma replied firmly. "Grandma won't let him. She's strong like Mom." Sarah felt her heart tighten. They trusted her, believed she would keep them safe, and she would, no matter the cost. Returning to the living room, Sarah looked out the window at the sleeping city. Somewhere out there, among the lights and shadows, Emily waited to be found. And the man who hurt her might be lurking, looking for her too. Sarah clenched her fists, a fierce determination growing inside her. She would find Emily first. She would bring her home to safety. And then, together, they would face the demons of the past. "Hang in there, Emily," Sarah whispered to the night. "We're coming." As the first ray of sunlight crept through the window, Sarah made a silent promise. No matter how long it took, no matter what obstacles they faced, she would not rest until her family was reunited and safe. The road ahead would be difficult, full of unknown dangers. But with her love for her daughter and granddaughters fueling her courage, Sarah was ready to face whatever came next. The search continued, more urgent than ever. Michael's car weaved through unfamiliar narrow streets, drifting ever farther from the city center. Sarah looked anxiously out the window, her heart pounding. After days of fruitless searching, Michael had called with information that could change everything. "Are you sure she's there?" Sarah asked for the umpteenth time, her hands gripping her purse in her lap. Michael nodded gravely, eyes fixed on the road. "Almost sure. A friend of mine works at that shelter." She recognized Emily's photo. The shelter in question was a secret location, specifically designed for women escaping domestic violence. Its whereabouts were guarded closely for obvious reasons. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Michael stopped the car in front of a discreet building with no sign or identification. "This is it," he said softly. Sarah took a deep breath, trying to calm her nerves. After all this time, she might finally see her daughter again. But what if Emily didn't want to see her? What if... Her thoughts were interrupted by Michael, who gently touched her arm. "Let's go, they're expecting us." They were greeted at the door by a middle-aged woman with kind eyes and a firm posture. "I'm Karen, the shelter's director," she introduced herself. Michael explained the situation. "Please, follow me." Sarah followed Karen down a quiet hallway, her legs trembling slightly. They stopped in front of a closed door. "Emily is inside," Karen explained gently. "She knows you're coming. Just be patient, okay? She's been through a lot." With a shaky nod, Sarah watched Karen open the door. And there she was. Emily, her daughter. Emily stood with her back turned, arranging some papers on a table. Hearing the door open, she turned slowly. Time seemed to freeze. Sarah felt the air leave her lungs at the sight of her daughter's face for the first time in so long. Emily looked thinner, with deep shadows under her eyes. But it was her eyes that shocked Sarah the most. Once bright and full of life, they now looked tired and guarded. "Mom!" Emily's voice was barely a whisper. "Oh, Emily," Sarah sobbed, stepping forward, arms extended. But Emily stepped back, crossing her arms protectively over her chest. "What are you doing here? How did you find me?" The rejection hurt, but Sarah tried to remain composed. "I never stopped looking for you, dear, never." Emily shook her head, tears shining in her eyes. "You shouldn't be here. It's dangerous. He might be looking for me. We can protect you," Sarah pleaded. "Come home, Emily. The girls, they need you." At the mention of the twins, Emily visibly paled. "The girls, they're with you?" Sarah nodded. "I found them. They're safe, but they miss you terribly." Emily covered her face with her hands, silent sobs shaking her shoulders. "I never wanted to leave them," she whispered through tears. "But he threatened. I had to keep them safe." Sarah took another step forward, and this time Emily didn't retreat. Gently, she wrapped her daughter in a hug. "It's all right now. We're here. We'll face this together." For several minutes, mother and daughter remained embraced, years of fear, guilt, and longing pouring out in silent tears. Finally, Emily pulled away, wiping her eyes. "I can't go back," she said, her voice trembling but determined. "He'll find us. He'll hurt you." "Emily," Sarah held her daughter's hands. "We have help now. The police are involved. There are people who can protect us. More importantly, we have each other. Together, we're stronger than any threat." Emily seemed to fight an internal battle, years of fear wrestling with a desperate desire to be with her family again. At that moment, Karen knocked gently on the door. "Emily, there's someone else here to see you." The door opened, and there they were, Lily and Emma, hand in hand, wide-eyed and fixed on their mother. "Mommy?" Lily whispered, her voice barely audible. Emily's face contorted in a mix of joy and pain. "My girls," she sobbed, dropping to her knees and opening her arms. For a terrible moment, the twins hesitated, looking to Sarah for reassurance. But then, as if a spell had broken, they rushed into Emily's arms. The room filled with sobs and murmurs of, "I'm sorry and I love you." Sarah watched, silent tears running down her face, as her daughter embraced her granddaughters for the first time in months. After several minutes, Emily looked at Sarah over the girls' heads, her eyes still filled with fear but now holding a spark of hope. "Now what?" she asked softly. Sarah knelt beside them, wrapping her family in a tight embrace. "Now we go home together, and we'll face whatever comes as a family." Emily nodded slowly, still holding the twins tightly. "I'm so scared," she admitted in a whisper. "I know, dear," Sarah replied, "but you're not alone anymore. Never again." As they prepared to leave the shelter, Sarah knew the path ahead would be hard. There would be trauma to heal, trust to rebuild, and a very real danger to confront. But looking at her daughter and granddaughters, reunited at last, she felt a fierce determination inside her. They had found Emily. It was the first step. And together, they would take the next steps, one at a time, toward a safer and happier future. Stepping out of the shelter, the afternoon sun bathed everything in a golden glow. To Sarah, it felt like a sign of hope, a new beginning for her reunited family. Sarah's apartment, once a quiet refuge, now pulsed with tense, emotionally charged energy. Emily sat on the sofa, her eyes darting nervously around the familiar space as if expecting shadows to leap from the walls. Lily and Emma clung to her side, reluctant to let go even for a moment, as if fearing their mother might vanish again. Sarah returned from the kitchen with a tray of tea, placing it carefully on the coffee table. The soft clink of cups seemed oddly loud in the heavy silence of the living room. "Emily," Sarah began gently, taking a seat in the armchair opposite, "I think it's time we talk." Emily nodded slowly, her fingers absently stroking the girl's hair. She took a deep breath as if gathering courage. "I met Robert 3 years ago," she began, her voice barely above a whisper. "At first he was wonderful, attentive, romantic. He made me feel special." Sarah listened carefully, her heart aching at the pain in her daughter's eyes. But then things started to change. Small things at first. He got annoyed if I spoke to other men, even if they were just co-workers. He began to control my phone, my outings. Emily paused, swallowing hard. The twins, sensing their mother's tension, snuggled closer. "The first time he hit me," Emily continued, voice trembling, "was after a party. He said I was flirting with his friend. I tried to explain, but he just lost control." Sarah felt hot tears slip down her cheeks. How had she not realized? How had she let this happen to her daughter? After that, he always apologized, promised it would never happen again, and I believed him. I wanted to believe him. Emily looked at her daughters, her eyes filled with guilt and love. "When I found out I was pregnant, I thought things would get better. For a while, they did. But then," her voice faltered, and Sarah instinctively moved to the sofa, hugging Emily and the girls. "He started drinking more," Emily continued after a moment. "Became violent more often. I tried to hide it from the girls, but they heard. They saw the bruises." Lily lifted her head, her big eyes sad. "The bad man hurt you, Mommy." Emily nodded, tears falling silently. Yes, sweetheart, but not anymore. We're safe now. Sarah fought against the wave of guilt and anger threatening to consume her. Why didn't you tell me, Emily? I could have helped. Emily looked at her mother, eyes full of shame and fear. He threatened to hurt you all if I told anyone. He said he had connections, that no one could protect us. I was so scared. Sarah held her daughter tighter, feeling as if her heart might break. Oh, my love, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry I didn't see, that I didn't do more. Emily shook her head. It's not your fault, Mom. I hid it well. I had to hide it. But why did you run away? Sarah asked softly. Sows, why leave the girls? Emily closed her eyes, as if the memory was too painful to bear. He found out I was planning to leave him. He got furious. Said if I tried to run with the girls, he'd find us. And... She couldn't finish the sentence, but the horror in her eyes said everything. So I did the hardest thing I've ever done, Emily continued, her voice choked. I left my babies in a safe place and ran, hoping he'd follow me and leave them alone. The twins, who had listened silently until then, began to cry softly. Emily held them close, whispering words of comfort. Mommy never wanted to leave you, she murmured. I love you more than anything in the world. I just wanted to keep you safe. Sarah watched the scene, her heart broken for her family's pain, but also full of fierce determination. Emily, she said firmly, you're not alone in this fight anymore. We'll keep you and the girls safe. Emily looked at her mother, gratitude and fear mixed in her eyes. But what if he finds us? What if... No, Sarah interrupted, her voice steady. We're not going to live in fear. We'll take all the necessary precautions, seek legal help, police protection if needed, but we won't let him keep controlling our lives. Sarah's words seemed to ignite a small flame of hope in Emily's eyes. She nodded slowly, hugging the girls closer. So what do we do now? Emily asked, her voice still trembling but touched with determination. Sarah thought for a moment. First, we'll make sure you three are safe and comfortable here. Tomorrow, we'll contact a lawyer and the police. We'll document everything and take the legal steps we need. Emily nodded, looking both relieved and terrified at the idea of finally facing her abuser. What about us? Lily asked timidly, looking between her mother and grandmother. Sarah smiled gently at her granddaughters. You, my dears, will stay here with us. We'll be a family again. It may be hard sometimes, but we're together now, and that's what matters. The following hours were spent in a mixture of tears, hugs, and whispered conversations. Emily shared more details of her abusive relationship, each word seeming to lift a weight from her shoulders. Sarah listened, offering comfort and support, while battling her own guilt and anger. The twins, exhausted by the emotional roller coaster of the day, finally fell asleep in Emily's arms. Even in sleep, their tiny hands clutched their mother's blouse, as if afraid she would vanish again. As night fell, Sarah prepared the bed for Emily and the girls. Watching her daughter tuck the twins in, she felt a mix of love, protection, and fierce determination. Emily, Sarah called softly as her daughter left the bedroom. I want you to know, I'm so proud of you. You are so strong, so brave. Emily looked at her mother, tears shining in her eyes. I don't feel strong, she whispered. Sarah hugged her daughter. But you are. You survived. You protected your daughters, and now you're here, ready to fight. That's strength, Emily. As they prepared to sleep, the house finally quiet, Sarah looked out the window at the sleeping city. Somewhere, the man who hurt her daughter was still free. But now, they were united, and together, they would face whatever came. The path ahead would be hard, filled with legal, emotional, and practical challenges. But looking at her reunited family, Sarah felt a spark of hope. They had taken the first step. Tomorrow, they would take the next. The night wore on, bringing the promise of a new day, a day of healing, courage, and above all, unwavering family love. The morning sun filtered through the apartment's curtains, casting dancing shadows on the walls. Emily sat at the kitchen table, an untouched cup of coffee before her, eyes fixed on a distant point. Sarah watched silently from the door, her heart heavy with a mix of relief and concern. "Did you sleep well?" Sarah asked softly, finally breaking the silence. Emily gave a small start as if torn from a dream. "Not really," she admitted with a weak smile. "It's strange, X being back." Sarah nodded understandingly, taking a seat beside her daughter. "It will take time to adjust, but we're here for you. All of us." At that moment, the sound of small footsteps echoed down the hall. Lily and Emma appeared, still in their pajamas, hair messy and eyes sleepy. "Good morning, dears," Sarah smiled, rising to fix breakfast. The twins hesitated for a moment, their eyes shifting between Sarah and Emily. It was as if they were recalibrating, adjusting to the new reality of having their mother back. Emily opened her arms, her voice trembling with emotion. "Come here, my little ones." Lily was the first to move, running into her mother's embrace. Emma followed a second later, more cautious but equally eager for contact. Sarah watched the scene while making pancakes, her heart filled with a bittersweet mixture of joy and sadness. It was wonderful to see her family reunited, but the road ahead was still full of challenges. Over breakfast, conversation flowed in hesitant bursts. The twins told Emily about their adventures with Grandma, their voices excited but sometimes interrupted by sudden silences, as if they suddenly remembered the long separation. Emily listened intently, her eyes shining with unshed tears. Occasionally, she cast nervous glances toward the window, as if expecting a threat to appear at any moment. After the meal, while the girls played in the living room, Sarah pulled Emily aside. "We need to talk about the next steps," she said gently. Emily nodded, her face tense. "I know, I don't know where to start. Everything feels so overwhelming." Sarah took her daughter's hands in hers. "One step at a time, dear. First, you and the girls will stay here with me. Get safe and familiar." Emily bit her lip, clearly torn. "But what if he finds us here? What if we put you in danger?" "We're not going to live in fear," Sarah said firmly. "We'll take precautions, of course. But this is your home, Emily. It always was and always will be." Tears slipped down Emily's face and she hugged her mother tightly. "Thank you," she whispered, "for everything." Throughout the day, the family navigated a delicate dance of emotions. The twins swung between moments of carefree joy, laughing and playing with Emily as if the months apart had never happened, and moments of cautious distance, as if afraid their mother might disappear again at any moment. Emily, for her part, visibly struggled with her own demons. Sarah caught her several times anxiously peering out the window or flinching at sudden noises. In one particularly difficult moment, Emily had a panic attack when a car parked loudly on the street. "He's here," she gasped, her eyes wide with terror. "He found us!" Sarah rushed to calm her daughter, the twins watching with frightened eyes from the corner of the room. "It's all right, Emily. It's not him. You're safe here." It took several minutes for Emily to settle, and the incident left everyone shaken. Sarah realized that although they had reunited, the path to healing would be long and hard. That night, after putting the girls to bed, Sarah sat with Emily on the porch. The cool night air seemed to help calm both their nerves. "I think we need professional help," Sarah said softly. "All of us." Emily nodded slowly. "You're right. The girls, they seem so confused sometimes. And I don't know how to overcome this constant fear." Sarah hugged her daughter. "So I will get through this together. Tomorrow I'll contact a therapist specialized in family trauma, and we'll also speak to a lawyer about legal steps to keep you safe." Emily flinched slightly at the mention of legal measures, but nodded. "Okay, one step at a time, right?" "Exactly," Sarah smiled, proud of her daughter's courage. In the days that followed, the family began to establish a new routine. Sarah rearranged her guest room to comfortably accommodate Emily and the twins. They went shopping together, choosing new clothes and a few toys for the girls. The therapist, Dr. Martinez, began visiting regularly. Her sessions, both individual and family, were intense and often emotional, but Sarah could see small improvements each day. The twins, with the therapist's help, started to process their complex feelings. There were difficult moments, like when Emma had a fit of anger, yelling at Emily for leaving them. but also moments of deep connection and healing. Emily, in turn, took brave steps toward recovery. Though she still struggled with anxiety and fear, she began to open up more, sharing her experiences and working to rebuild her confidence. Sarah watched it all with a mix of pain and hope. Seeing her family struggle was difficult, but each small victory, every genuine smile, every spontaneous hug, was a reminder that they were on the right path. One evening, as everyone sat in the living room watching a movie, Sarah noticed something that filled her heart with joy. Emily was on the couch, relaxed for the first time in days. Lily and Emma snuggled on either side. All three laughed at something on the screen, their faces lit not only by the TV's glow, but by genuine happiness. In that moment, Sarah knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, they would overcome them. Together, as a family, they would rebuild the bridges that had been broken and construct new ones, stronger than ever. The road ahead was still long, but each day, step by step, they moved toward a brighter, safer future. Dr. Martinez's office was a welcoming space, with soft-colored walls and plants bringing life to the environment. Sarah, Emily, and the twins sat in a semicircle, facing their first family therapy session. "I'm very proud of all of you for being here today," Dr. Martinez began, her tone gentle but firm. "I know it's not easy to face the past, but it's a crucial step toward healing." Emily fidgeted nervously with her blouse, while Lily and Emma huddled close on the sofa. Sarah watched her family, her heart heavy with a mix of love and worry. "Let's start with something simple," the therapist suggested. "Can each of you share a feeling you're experiencing right now?" There was a moment of silence before Lily spoke shyly. "I feel confused." Emma nodded in agreement. "And scared," she added quietly. Emily closed her eyes, tears escaping beneath her eyelids. "Guilty," she whispered. "I feel so guilty." Sarah felt a lump in her throat. "I feel determined," she finally said. "Determined to help my family overcome this." The session continued, with Dr. Martinez gently guiding them through exercises and difficult conversations. There were moments of tears, of restrained anger, but also glimpses of understanding and connection. In the days that followed, Emily made an effort to rebuild trust with her daughters. Small gestures, braiding Lily's hair in the morning, helping Emma with her homework, reading them bedtime stories. Each moment was a brick in the rebuilding of their bond. One night, as Emily tucked the girls into bed, Lily asked softly, "Mom, are you going away again?" Emily's heart broke at the question. She sat on the edge of the bed, holding her daughter's hands. "No, my love. Never again. I promise I'll stay with you no matter what happens." Emma looked at her with big, serious eyes. "Even if the bad man comes back?" Emily swallowed hard, fighting the fear threatening to consume her. "Even then, we're stronger together, and now we have people to protect us." The girls seemed reassured by these words, and soon fell asleep. Emily stayed there a long time, watching them sleep, silently promising she would do anything to keep them safe and happy. Meanwhile, Sarah was facing her own internal battles. The guilt of not having seen the signs of abuse earlier gnawed at her. In her own therapy session, she confessed, "I should have known. I'm her mother. How could I not have noticed?" Dr. Martinez listened patiently before replying, "Sarah, abuse is often well hidden, especially from those closest to the victim. You can't blame yourself for the past. What matters is what you're doing now to support Emily and the girls." These words helped Sarah redirect her energy. Instead of drowning in guilt, she focused on being a pillar of support for her family. She was there for Emily every step of the way, offering a shoulder to cry on, a hand to hold, or simply a comforting presence when things got tough. One morning, Sarah accompanied Emily to the police station. It was time to formally inform the authorities about the situation. Detective Johnson, a middle-aged man with kind eyes, listened attentively as Emily, voice trembling, recounted her story. "I understand this is difficult, Ms. Coleman," the detective said when she finished, "but you're doing the right thing. We'll start an investigation immediately and take all necessary steps to ensure your safety and that of your daughters." Emily nodded, clutching Sarah's hand for support. What if he comes after us? We'll request a restraining order," the detective explained. and we'll increase patrols in your area. I'll also give you my direct number. If anything suspicious happens, don't hesitate to call." Leaving the station, Emily looked simultaneously relieved and terrified. "It's real now," she murmured. "There's no going back." Sarah hugged her daughter. "You're doing the right thing, dear. I'm so proud of you." As the days passed, news of Emily's situation began to spread through the community. Neighbors, church friends, even strangers offered support. Meals were delivered, offers to watch the girls were made, and kind words of encouragement were shared. One day, Mrs. Thompson, an elderly neighbor, appeared with a large tray of lasagna. "I heard you're going through hard times," she said kindly. "I just wanted you to know we're here for you." Emily Aft, who was in the kitchen when Mrs. Thompson arrived, froze with fear. The idea of more people knowing about her situation panicked her. Sensing her daughter's discomfort, Sarah thanked the neighbor and quickly saw her out. Turning back to Emily, she found her trembling. "It's all right, dear," Sarah whispered, hugging her. "No one will judge you, they just want to help." Emily buried her face in her mother's shoulder. "What if he finds out where we are through them? What if someone tells him?" Sarah pulled away gently, looking into her daughter's eyes. "Emily, listen to me. This community wants to protect you, not expose you. But I understand your fear. We'll take it slowly, okay? We'll only accept help you feel comfortable with." Slowly, Emily began to open up to the community's support. She allowed a few trusted people to know about her situation, and the protective network around her grew. One afternoon, while Emily played in the backyard with the girls, Sarah watched from the kitchen window. She saw her daughter laughing, running with Lily and Emma, their faces glowing with joy. It was a moment of normality amid chaos, a glimpse of the future they were fighting for. Sarah felt tears of relief and hope welling in her eyes. The road ahead was still long and uncertain, but at that moment, seeing her family reunited and happy, she knew they were on the right track. Facing the past was painful, but also liberating. Each therapy session, each difficult conversation, each small step toward healing was a victory. And together, as a united family supported by their community, they were stronger than any past threat. Night fell, and as Sarah prepared dinner, she heard Emily and the girls laughing softly in the backyard. It was a sound she had feared she'd never hear again, now music to her ears. Smiling, she returned to her meal, grateful for another day of progress, another day of hope. The future was still uncertain, but facing it together made anything possible. The shrill sound of the phone cut through the morning silence, making Emily jump. Sarah answered quickly, her face paling as she listened to the voice on the other end. "I understand, Detective. Thank you for letting us know," Sarah said, her voice tense as she hung up. Emily stared at her, eyes wide with fear. "What is it? It's him, isn't it?" Sarah hesitated for a moment before nodding gravely. Detective Johnson called. "There have been sightings. Robert was seen asking around about you in some places in town." Panic seized Emily immediately. Her hands began to tremble and her breathing became labored. "He found us. Oh God, he's going to hurt us. The girls." Sarah rushed to embrace her daughter, trying to calm her. "Breathe, Emily. We prepared for this. Remember, we have a plan." In the following days, the family implemented strict security measures. Windows were locked, a new alarm system was installed, and the twins received clear instructions not to talk to strangers or go out alone. The tension was palpable in the house. Emily was constantly on guard, startled by every unexpected sound. The twins, sensing their mother's anxiety, grew quieter and more cautious. One night, after putting the girls to bed, Emily found Sarah in the kitchen. Her face was pale and determined. "Mom, I've been thinking," she began, her voice trembling. Maybe it's better if I leave." Sarah froze, the teacup she held halfway to her mouth. "What? What are you talking about, Emily?" "He's after me," Emily continued, tears shining in her eyes. "If I leave, maybe he'll follow me and leave you in peace. The girls would be safer with you." Sarah placed her cup down firmly, the sound echoing in the quiet kitchen. "Absolutely not," she said, her voice firm. We're not separating again. We're not letting him divide us. But what if he hurts you? Emily sobbed. I couldn't bear it if something happened to you or the girls because of me. Sarah approached, gripping her daughter's shoulders. Emily, look at me. We are stronger together. Running away won't solve anything. Won't solve. We'll face this as a family. At that moment, a noise from the hallway surprised them. Lily and Emma stood in the doorway, their eyes wide and frightened. Is Mommy leaving again? Lily asked, her voice small and trembling. Emily felt her heart break. She knelt down, opening her arms to her daughters. No, my loves, Mommy isn't going anywhere. I promise. The twins ran into their mother's arms, and in that moment, something changed. Their love and trust seemed to infuse Emily with strength. We're not afraid of the bad man, Emma declared bravely. We're strong, like Grandma says. Lily nodded in agreement. We're a family. Families stay together. Sarah watched the scene, her heart filling with pride and determination. These girls, who had endured so much, showed a strength beyond their years. In the days that followed, the family faced each challenge united. When Emily had weak moments, the twins offered hugs and words of encouragement. Sarah became a rock, firm in her resolve to protect her family at all costs. One afternoon, as everyone sat in the living room, the doorbell rang. Silence fell like a heavy curtain. Sarah signaled Emily to take the girls to the back room, as they had planned. Heart-pounding, Sarah approached the door. Peering through the peephole, she saw Detective Johnson. Breathing a sigh of relief, she opened the door. Miss Coleman, the detective greeted, his face serious. We have news. Robert was seen in the neighboring town. We believe he's getting closer. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine, but kept her composure. What should we do? Stay vigilant, the detective advised. We've increased patrols in the area. And, he hesitated for a moment, maybe it's time to consider a temporary shelter, just as a precaution. Sarah thanked the detective and closed the door, her mind spinning. Turning around, she saw Emily standing in the hallway, having heard everything. See, Emily said, her voice trembling. It's too dangerous for us to stay here. Sarah moved toward her daughter, holding her hands. Emily, listen to me. We're not going to let him dictate our lives. This is our home, our family. We'll stay and fight. But, Emily began, but was interrupted by Lily and Emma, who appeared at her side. We don't want to leave, Lily said firmly. Emma agreed. This is our home now. Emily looked at her daughters, then at her mother, and something in her eyes changed. The spark of fear was still there, but now there was something else. Determination. Okay, she said slowly. We'll stay. We'll face this together. Sarah smiled, pulling the entire family into a tight hug. Exactly. We're stronger than any threat. We'll show Robert we're not afraid. That night, as the family gathered for dinner, a new energy filled the air. Fear was still present, lurking in the shadows, but it no longer dominated. In its place were courage, love, and a fierce determination to remain united, no matter what came next. Sarah looked at her family, Emily growing stronger each day, Lily and Emma surprisingly resilient, and felt a wave of pride and love. They would face this threat as they had faced everything so far, together. The future was still uncertain, but one thing was clear: fear would not win. The courage and love of a united family were stronger than any threat Robert could pose. The sound of the doorbell echoed through the house, making Emily freeze in the middle of the living room. Sarah, who was in the kitchen, hurried to answer, her heart pounding. When she opened the door, Detective Johnson's familiar face greeted her, this time with a smile. Miss Coleman, he said, I have good news. Robert was arrested last night. The news spread through the house like a wave of relief. Emily fell to her knees, sobbing with relief and disbelief. The twins, not fully understanding but sensing the shift, ran to hug their mother. In the days that followed, the family prepared for the trial. It was a frightening process, but necessary. Emily, supported unconditionally by Sarah and continuing therapy, found the courage to face her abuser in court. The day of the trial arrived, cold and overcast. Emily trembled as she climbed the courthouse steps, Sarah at her side. The twins stayed with a trusted neighbor. Inside the courtroom, Emily faced Robert for the first time in months. He seemed smaller somehow, less threatening under the bright courtroom lights. When Emily took the witness stand, her voice initially trembled but gained strength as she told her story. "He made me believe I was worthless," she said, looking straight at the jury. "But today I'm here to say that I am strong, I am valuable, and I deserve to live without fear." Sitting in the front row, Sarah felt tears of pride stream down her face. Her daughter, who had gone through so much, was finally reclaiming her voice and power. After days of testimony and deliberation, the verdict was announced: guilty. Robert was sentenced to years in prison, and a permanent restraining order was issued. Leaving the courthouse, Emily took a deep breath, feeling as if a huge weight had been lifted off her shoulders. "It's over," she whispered, barely believing her own words. Sarah hugged her tightly. "You did it, dear. I'm so proud of you." In the weeks that followed, life began to assume a new normal. Emily, inspired by her own journey, decided she wanted to help other women in similar situations. She volunteered at a local shelter for domestic violence survivors, offering understanding and support that only a survivor could provide. "It's like I found my purpose," Emily told Sarah one night, her eyes shining with a new light. "Helping these women makes me feel strong. It makes me feel like I can turn all that pain into something positive." Sarah smiled, feeling her heart fill with pride. "You've always been strong, Emily. Now the whole world can see it." Meanwhile, the twins were about to take another important step, starting school. On the first day, Lily and Emma were a mix of nerves and excitement. "What if the other kids don't like us?" Lily asked anxiously as Emily fixed her hair. "They will love you," Emily assured, kissing the top of her daughter's head. "You're amazing and brave." Emma, always the bolder of the two, declared confidently, "We'll make lots of friends." Sarah watched from the doorway, amazed at her granddaughter's resilience. After everything they had been through, they still faced the world with hope and courage. When the school bus drove away with the twins, Emily turned to Sarah, tears in her eyes. "They'll be okay, right?" Sarah hugged her daughter. "Yes, they will. They're strong like their mother." Inspired by Emily's courage and her desire to make a difference, Sarah also found a new purpose. She began working with a local organization that provided legal and emotional support for families affected by domestic violence. "I want to ensure that no other family has to go through what we went through alone," Sarah explained to Emily. "If I can help just one person find safety and hope, it will have been worth it." On a sunny afternoon, months after the trial, the family gathered in the backyard for a barbecue. The twins ran and laughed, playing with new friends from school. Emily, relaxed and smiling, chatted with a colleague from the shelter. Sarah, watching everything, felt a wave of gratitude and joy. "Who would have thought we'd get here?" a voice said beside her. It was Michael, the friend who had helped find Emily. Sarah smiled. "There were moments I doubted, but look at us now." Michael nodded, watching the happy scene before them. "You're an incredible family, a true inspiration." As the sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of pink and orange, Sarah gathered everyone for a photo. Emily, the twins, Michael, and some new friends they had made along this journey. "Say family," Sarah instructed, holding up the camera. "Family!" everyone shouted in unison, bright smiles lighting up their faces. In that moment, captured forever in a photograph, Sarah saw the result of all the struggle, all the pain, and all the courage. She saw a family that had been broken but had rebuilt itself, stronger than ever. She saw hope, love, and a bright future. Night fell softly, enveloping the backyard in a golden light. Children's laughter, lively adult conversation, and the aroma of food in the air created an atmosphere of peace and contentment. Sarah closed her eyes for a moment, taking it all in. They had faced the worst and come out the other side. Together, they had found justice, healing, and a new purpose. And though the road had not been easy, each step had led them to this moment of joy and unity. Sarah opened her eyes, a gentle smile on her lips. The future was bright, full of possibilities, and she knew that no matter what came next, they would face it together, as the strong and united family they had become. The morning sun filtered through the new curtains, casting a golden glow over the boxes stacked in the living room. Sarah stood amid the confusion, a steaming cup of coffee in her hands, watching Emily and the twins excitedly explore every corner of their new home. "Grandma, look at my room," Lily shouted, running downstairs. "It has a big window with a view of the garden." Sarah smiled, feeling a wave of joy and gratitude. This move symbolized much more than just a new address. It was a fresh start, a chance to leave the shadows of the past behind and build a bright future. Emily entered the room carrying a box labeled "Photos." Her eyes shone with a mixture of emotion and determination. "I can't believe we're really here," she said softly. Sarah hugged her daughter. "You deserve this, dear, we all do." The following weeks were a whirlwind of activity. As they settled into their new home, Emily also prepared to start a new job. After months of volunteering at the women's shelter, she had been offered a paid position as a counselor. On the morning of her first day, Emily was nervous, adjusting and readjusting her blouse in front of the mirror. "What if I'm not good enough?" she murmured, more to herself than to Sarah, who stood in the doorway. "Emily," Sarah said gently, approaching her daughter, "you are more than qualified. Your experience, your strength, your compassion, all of it makes you perfect for this job." Emily took a deep breath, nodding. "You're right, I can do this." When Emily returned home that evening, her eyes sparkled with new confidence. "It was amazing, Mom," she said excitedly. "So to use my story to help other women, it's like I'm turning all that pain into something positive." Sarah felt her heart swell with pride. Her daughter, who had been through so much, was now using her experience to light the way for others. Meanwhile, Lily and Emma flourished in their new environment. The new school, with its welcoming and understanding approach, had been a blessing. The twins, once shy and reserved, now returned home chattering about new friends and exciting activities. One afternoon, Sarah found Emma sitting quietly on the backyard swing, a thoughtful look on her young face. "Is everything okay, dear?" Sarah asked, sitting beside her granddaughter. Emma was silent for a moment before responding. "Grandma, sometimes I still have nightmares about the bad man, but now, when I wake up, I'm not scared anymore, because I know we're safe here." Sarah hugged Emma, tears shining in her eyes. "That's right, my love. You're safe. And you know something. You and your sister are the bravest girls I know." As summer turned to autumn, Sarah decided it was time to celebrate. They had come so far, and every little victory deserved to be acknowledged. On the day of the party, the backyard was decorated with twinkling lights and colorful balloons. The smell of a barbecue filled the air, mixing with the sound of laughter and cheerful conversation. Sarah watched with a full heart as Emily happily chatted with colleagues from the shelter, her face radiant and confident. The twins ran across the lawn with their new school friends, their laughter echoing into the night. Neighbors, church friends, even Detective Johnson showed up, each bringing a dish and kind words of support. Mrs. Thompson, the elderly neighbor who had been one of the first to offer help, approached Sarah with tears in her eyes. "It's wonderful to see your family so happy," she said. "You're a true testament to strength and resilience." As the evening wore on, Sarah asked for everyone's attention. Standing on a small makeshift platform, she surveyed the sea of smiling faces. "A year ago, I didn't know if this moment would be possible," she began, her voice thick with emotion. "But thanks to Emily's courage, Lily and Emma's resilience, and the incredible support from all of you, we're here, not just surviving, but thriving." She raised her glass. "This toast is to new beginnings, to the strength we find in each other, and to the love that overcomes all obstacles." A chorus of cheers echoed through the backyard, followed by warm applause. Emily stepped up beside her mother, the twins right behind. "I just want to thank all of you," she said, her voice steady and clear, "for believing in us, for supporting us, for showing us there's light even in the darkest moments." As the family embraced, surrounded by the warmth and love of their community, Sarah felt a deep sense of peace. They had endured the worst and emerged stronger. The path had not been easy, but each challenge had brought them closer together. Later, when the guests began to leave and the backyard grew quiet, Sarah found Emily sitting on the swing, gazing at the stars. "What are you thinking about?" Sarah asked softly, sitting beside her daughter. Emily smiled, a genuine smile that lit up her eyes. I'm thinking about how grateful I am. For you, for the girls, for this new life we've built. Sarah took Emily's hand. I'm so proud of you, dear. Of all of us. They sat there in comfortable silence, watching the stars. A gentle breeze carried the scent of flowers from the garden, mingling with the last echoes of laughter and music from the party. Somewhere inside the house, they heard Lily and Emma's sleepy voices, probably recalling the day's exciting events. Sarah closed her eyes, savoring the moment. This was their new normal, full of joy, love, and infinite possibilities. They had turned their pain into purpose, their fear into courage. The future stretched before them, bright and full of promise. And Sarah knew that no matter what came, they would face it together, stronger, wiser, and more united than ever. When the last party light went out and the house was enveloped in the silence of the night, Sarah felt a deep sense of contentment. This wasn't just a new chapter. It was the start of an entirely new story, filled with hope, healing, and unconditional love. The autumn sun bathed the backyard in a golden light, making the fallen leaves sparkle like scattered jewels on the grass. Sarah stood on the porch, watching the preparations for a special celebration marking 1 year since her family's reunion. In the center of the garden, covered by a cloth, stood the old shopping cart, the same one Lily and Emma had pushed through the streets when Sarah first found them a year ago. Now transformed and repainted, it awaited its moment of unveiling. Emily stepped out of the house, joining her mother on the porch. "So everything's ready," she said, a mixture of nervousness and excitement in her voice. Sarah hugged her daughter. "Are you sure about this?" Emily nodded, determined. "Yes, it's time for our story to help other people." Gradually, the backyard began to fill up. Friends, family, colleagues from the shelter where Emily worked, and even some of the women she had counseled arrived, bringing dishes of food and warm smiles. Lily and Emma ran among the guests, their laughter echoing in the air. Dressed in matching dresses, they looked like flowers blooming after a long winter. When everyone was gathered, Sarah stepped onto a small makeshift platform, clearing her throat to get their attention. "Welcome, all of you," she began, her voice filled with emotion. 1 year ago, our family was fragmented, lost in the shadows of fear and separation. Today, we are here to celebrate not only our reunion, but our transformation. She gestured for Emily to join her. The twins, sensing something important was about to happen, stopped playing and approached, eyes wide with curiosity. Emily took a deep breath before speaking. "Many of you know parts of our story, but today I want to share it fully, not just to celebrate where we are now, but to offer hope to those still struggling in the shadows." With a steady voice, Emily began to tell her journey. She spoke of the abusive relationship, the constant fear, the agonizing decision to leave her daughters behind, to protect them. Her voice trembled as she described the months of loneliness and despair, but grew stronger as she spoke of their reunion, healing, and rediscovery of her own strength. "This cart," she said, walking to the covered object, "is where it all began. It was here that my mother found Lily and Emma, what reconnected us." With a dramatic gesture, Emily pulled away the cloth, revealing the transformed cart. Where once there had been rusty metal, now shone a vibrant painting. Each side told a part of their story in colorful murals. The dark past, the emotional reunion, the challenges of healing, and finally, the joy of the present. Gasps of admiration rose from the crowd. Lily and Emma ran to touch the cart, their small fingers tracing the images with reverence. "This cart," Emily continued, "is no longer a symbol of despair. It's our cart of hope, a reminder that no matter how dark the night, dawn always comes." Sarah watched with pride as her daughter spoke, seeing not the frightened, broken woman of a year ago, but a strong and courageous survivor. Emily then announced her decision to share her story more widely, to use her experience to help other domestic violence victims. "If my journey can give just one person the courage to seek help, it will have been worth it." The twins, who had listened attentively, suddenly ran to hug their mother. "Mommy is a hero," Lily declared proudly. Emma nodded emphatically. The strongest in the world. Tears of emotion shone in Emily's eyes as she embraced her daughters. You are my heroes, she whispered. You gave me strength when I needed it most. Sarah joined the hug, forming a circle of love and support. The crowd applauded, many with tears in their eyes, moved by the display of strength and family unity. As the afternoon wore on, the celebration took on a festival-like atmosphere. Music played softly in the background. People shared stories and laughter, and the aroma of delicious food filled the air. Sarah found a quiet moment, sitting on a garden bench to observe the scene. She saw Emily surrounded by a group of women, all listening attentively as she offered words of encouragement. The twins played with other children, their bright smiles and carefree laughter a testament to their resilience. Closing her eyes, Sarah let the memories of the past year play through her mind like a film. She remembered the paralyzing fear when she first saw her granddaughters alone, skinny and scared. The pain and relief of finding Emily. The sleepless nights of nightmares and the therapy sessions. The small steps toward healing and the giant leaps of courage. When she opened her eyes again, she saw the world with new clarity. Every challenge they had faced, every obstacle overcome, had made them stronger, more united. Emily approached, sitting beside her mother. "And what are you thinking about?" she asked softly. Sarah smiled, taking her daughter's hand. "I'm thinking about how blessed we are, not just to be together again, but to have found purpose in our pain." Emily nodded, her eyes shining with gratitude and determination. "Sometimes I'm still afraid," she admitted. "But then I look at the girls, at you, at everything we've built, and I know we're stronger than any fear." The twins ran over, their faces flushed with excitement. "Grandma, Mum, come see. We're making hope cards to put on the cart." Sarah and Emily let themselves be pulled by the girls to a table where several children and adults wrote messages of hope on small, colorful cards. "See?" Lily explained excitedly. "People can take a card when they need courage." Emma showed her own card, where she had drawn a family holding hands under a shining sun. "It's to remind everyone that families stay together, no matter what." Emily knelt, hugging her daughters tightly. "You're amazing, you know that. So full of love and wisdom." Sarah watched the scene, her heart overflowing with love. This was the legacy they were building, not just healing for themselves, but hope for others. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in pink and orange, Sarah gathered everyone for one last photo. With the cart of hope as a backdrop, the family posed, Emily in the center, the twins in her arms, and Sarah beside her, a protective hand on her daughter's shoulder. "On three, sir," Sarah instructed, adjusting the camera. "1, 2, 3. Hope!" everyone shouted in unison, bright smiles lighting up their faces. The flash captured the moment, not just an image, but a feeling of strength, of love, of a future born from the ashes of the past. Later, when the last guests had left and night fell softly over the garden, the family remained gathered around the cart of hope. The twinkling lights in the trees created an almost magical atmosphere. "What now?" Lily asked sleepily, snuggling into Emily's lap. Emily smiled, looking at Sarah and then at her daughters. "Now, my love, we continue our journey. We keep growing, loving, helping others, and we do it together, always together." Sarah nodded, feeling a deep peace settle in her heart. "The future is bright," she said softly, "and we're ready for it." As the stars began to dot the night sky, the family remained together, their hearts beating as one. The cart of hope glowed softly in the moonlight, a silent symbol of their journey, from the shadows of fear into the light of hope. And so, wrapped in each other's love and the promise of a new dawn, they faced the future, not as victims, but as survivors, strong, united, hopeful. The cart that once carried the weight of their fears now overflowed with dreams and possibilities. And together, they were ready to push it toward a bright future, one step at a time.